Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today let's take a look at the McFarlane Toys My Hero Academia Tenya Iida and Hero Killer Stain. Has it been a while since we've opened up some McFarlane My Hero Academia toys? I think Iida was shown at Toy Fair in February along with, what the hell was it, Todoroki? It may have been Todoroki, Kirishima, and Uraraka. But it's time for a new wave. Now I did not pick up the UA Uniform Bakugo because budget. I'm trying to get a little bit better with not buying everything, and with My Hero Academia, I want to stick with costumes, their hero looks, or their villain looks, either way. Even though McFarlane Toys is an awesome value at $20, each one being a unique sculpt. Looking at the package, it's what we're used to with this line. Window showing the figure, the yellow My Hero Academia motif all around. Pictures of the figures themselves right here, and before I do my usual rotate, I got to this side a minute ago taking pictures, and I thought, why the hell are they just sticking little parts and pieces of the figure? And then I realized, oh, it rotates around. Not the sharpest tool. On the other side, My Hero Academia logo, McFarlane Toys, Funimation. On the back, action stances for each character. 22 moving parts, which I don't think that's right. I don't know how they count that, but that's what they call their articulation system. 7-inch action figures, McFarlane.com. On the other side, again, some pretty promotional shots. Their shoulders. On the top, more window. You know, these are hanging on the peg. The light shines down. You can still see what's inside. It's a marketing thing. On the bottom, legalese, UPCs, some random numbers and such. But let's get these open, see what's going on here. It's kind of cool that these two come together because Iida played a big part in Stain's arc in the show. His brother had been injured and Iida was out seeking revenge. Tough package to open. As usual with McFarlane Toys, there is a stand. Just your basic disc, have a foot peg, My Hero Academia tampoed on it. That is a tight freaking box. Did that box make me? Yes, it did. Why am I bleeding? Looking at Chizome first because there's more frustration involved with this figure. Don't get me wrong, they absolutely nailed the look here with everything flowing and on top, and I think it's that and the design itself that makes it harder to translate Hero Killer Stain into an action figure. But I think some of the decisions made here could have went in a different direction. First up, the overall sculpting, I love it. I mean, you have all this flowing stuff and the knives and the daggers and the blades and the look of the costume. It's just fantastic. I love the clunkiness of the boots because it evokes that aesthetic from My Hero Academia. I can't remember if this is just crooked or it's that way in the show, but the right, this pad lines up with the knee itself. On the left side, it's turned in a bit and it doesn't line up with the leg. At the same time, I don't know, that's just part of that disturbing aspect of Hero Killer Stain. I have a watch sculpted on to the left arm and then the bandages going up. I love it. The leg pads with these, I guess, extra daggers on both sides. There's the spikes on the toe of the boot actually sculpted on with some padding. On the back, some kind of nuts or bolts or something. On the back, it's fairly clean, mostly covered up by these crazy rags, but we'll get to that here in a second. There's 2 blades in sheaths under each arm and then 1 on the back, but those are solid. They are staying in position. Then this pouch right on the ass, you know, just in case he has to carry something besides blades, I guess. Bandana going around the neck, that is a solid piece of plastic. It doesn't flex at all, and that goes back into this, which is all ragged and dynamic and flowing, but those are not soft. You can bend it, but in the grand scheme of things, they're not going anywhere. They are in position. And the same could probably be said for the tie coming off the mask too. It's a stiff piece of plastic. It kind of flows across, comes around on the right side. Looks great, but that's it. That's all you can do with that. But McFarlane nailed the look of the head with that alien type look, missing a nose and the big old mouth and teeth and the tongue sticking out. The freaky deaky bloodshot eyes sticking through the mask. The hair unmistakably My Hero Academia style. And then the paints for all that, nicely applied, fairly clean, and maybe a clean is a gripe too, because I'd like to see some dirtiness or, you know, some shadowing or something. But then again, that fits the aesthetic of the show. My frustration comes in with the hard plastics used. Mostly with this being a hard plastic and the head not having articulation at the top of the neck, only at the bottom. It really gets in the way of the amount of movement here. The torso is a rubber overlay piece with articulation under it, but you can't hardly do anything with it. It doesn't, it's stuck in the crunch down position. You can go One click forward, it doesn't matter because the head doesn't look up to look out of that crouch. Basically, it works like a swivel joint. Down at the ankle, it's cut. Just a straight line. I think it was DC Multiverse Grim Knight that had the same thing, where it looked like a sculpt and then they just shoved a ball in there. Or a swivel hinge swivel, however that works. But also because they kept the top of the shoe part or the foot part intact with that straight line across, there's no tilt. There's no forward-facing pin. You can fake it though, and we'll get to that. But man, it's a bit more work and frustration than I like in my action figures. But then you take most of what I said about Hero Killer Stain when it comes to look and how accurate it is to the show, you can apply that to Iida. But then Iida brings some easy playing, if that makes any sense. The sculpting of the costume or uniform looks fantastic with the armor at the chest, at the arms, coming down to the legs. The pipes coming around the torso, that's not finished yet. I'll plug those in. Nice sharp sculpting just on everything that is supposed to be on here. Chunky feet, which both fits the look of Iida from the show, and it helps with posing. Iida is a runner, and he needs a stable base, and that's what these provide. These gold parts, or well, yellow, maybe mustard, I like how they contrast against the white of the armor. And then that color's carried on right to here with the dark blues too. I feel like McFarlane Toys is getting better at nailing the likenesses of these characters. Early on, they were a bit Americanized, cartoonish, but with Iida, I'm seeing a resemblance to what I'm used to seeing. The hair has a blue tint to it, and I love the sharp edges of the sculpt. But you will notice there ain't no glass in those glasses. I can see why they did that. It's another plastic or another medium added to the figure. I may come along and try to cut some window plastic out of the packaging. See what I can do here. Although at normal distance, standing on the shelf, you can't hardly tell. I mean, they evoke glasses really well. And here, like I said with Stain, I wish there was a little bit of shading, a little bit of dirtiness, because with Iida's white armor, it's just a bright white. You actually lose detail in the brightness. And yeah, right here I do have several lights shining right on it. On a shelf, in normal lighting, you'll probably hit some natural shadows. Going over articulation, there is a ball joint at the bottom of the neck, and again, it's very restricted on top of this big plastic piece hanging off the back as you're moving it. I'm assuming the shoulders are a ball joint sunk way down in there with a dumbbell coming out to the hinge and swivel at the shoulder. That has a cover piece that hides that articulation point. With that, you can shift all around. The hinge out at the shoulder comes up past 90, swivels around. There is rotation at the bicep. Double elbow comes up, all the way. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, so it rotates, and the hinge doesn't do a lot because of the cuff coming down around the hand. Like we talked about, the torso is a rubber overlay. There is some kind of joint under there because I try to move it and you can't see. They have the rubber piece of the crotch going so far up, which is good. Hey, it's hiding the articulation no matter how far you go, but you can arc back just slightly forward. Then that swivels. That comes down to a hinge and swivel at the hip that you can bring up to here. Back, out, all the way. McFarlane doesn't like their thigh swivels, or well, they don't like cuts across. There is a swivel at the top if you get it out of position, but because of the way they sculpt it, so it doesn't break the silhouette much, it just hits itself. This is running into the crotch piece. Double knee comes up, nah, just too much boot. But it is past 90. Rotation at the top of the ankle with a hinge under that runs into about right there, comes forward, well, more than back actually. And then there's another rotation point below that going down into the foot that also turns this direction. But you can fake the rocker ankle by taking this, rotating it that way, coming up, rotating the foot, and then bringing it side to side. That's not the best course of action though, because then you lose forward and back, so you're constantly fighting it to get the foot flat on the ground. And then there's a toe joint that goes boop that far. For Iida, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck, and then there's a ball joint at the bottom. But even with all that, he doesn't really look up a lot. It's a mixture of the hair being a bit long and running into the neck, and then the collar being high and just getting in the way. Can look down a bit. Tilt! Swivel. Again, with the half a dumbbell for the shoulder, you can get all around, and that cover piece does a nice job of keeping you from looking inside the torso. Hinge on the outside of that comes up, rotates all the way around. Swivel at the bicep. Double elbow comes most of the way. Swivel hinge swivel at the wrist, which is uninhibited here, so you can go all the way in, all the way out. Rotate that around so you can get up and down too. Ball joint at the top of the abs, hidden really deep in there, and then a ball joint at the waist. So together, you can crunch a little. Unfortunately, it's the costume that gets in the way here. You can arc back. Very nice tilt. In fact, it hula hoops all around. And of course, swivel. Hinge and swivel at the hip, and unfortunately, the crotch piece is not rubbery. I've kind of stressed this side to get the leg to come up to here. You can see it bowing up a bit. On the left side, I haven't stressed it, and it comes up to about right there. Push up on it. Some back, out, not quite 90, but damn close. Again, there is a thigh swivel, but you get it to here, and it only moves about that much. Double knee comes up past 90. Again, armor plates. There's a swivel at the ankle that hinges back, hinges forward. Forward-facing pin for rocker on this one. It's still at 45 a bit, but at least it rocks. And then a toe joint that goes, well, all the way up. For accessories, Stain comes with his sword. You can see the notches all gouged out in the blade where he has really used the hell out of this thing. And then some nice sculpting up on the grip. Both hands are sculpted to hold the sword. He actually has a trigger finger on this side for some reason. And while the sword is a bit rubbery, not really a problem putting it in the hand. For Iida's accessories, it comes with 2 flat palm running hands, and then there's 2 grip trigger finger hands. I don't see any reason for me to ever put this on. But if I did, it's just a simple pull and push. The grip hands are very tight on there, but tight is better than the hands just falling off, I guess. He also comes with 2 exhaust pipes or 2 costume pipes for his back, and there is a left and a right. The pin has a extra piece that you can see fits on this side. On the other side, that extra piece of sculpt is up on the top. So there's 2 pins that go into the pipes, and then there's actually a tab for up top. And I've done this once, and I didn't like it. You have to get it all lined up and then push straight in. If you try to do the tab or the pins before each other, it doesn't work. It gets all crooked. But once you get this on, almost becomes seamless. I love how integrated that looks. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's also a tab on the inside that goes into the body. I've noticed that the left doesn't look as seamless as the right. This one almost disappears. But still, most of the time the arms are down over that. It'll hide it a bit, and that works great. And then he also comes with his masked look. Nice sculpting that matches the rest of the body. Unfortunately, the bright whiteness also matches the rest of the body. You saw me pull the head off a minute ago. That pops off pretty easy. This is a bit tighter to put on. I would suggest getting the chin lined up with that cutout on the neck. Because once you put it on, if it's crooked and you try to rotate it, it rotates at the bottom and it just stays out of place. And if that's the kind of thing that bugs you, it'll keep on bugging you. The helmet head seems to sit a bit higher than the other one, but that allows for a bit more up, which is good because when you're in a running pose, you need all the up you can get. Standing them straight up and down, Iida looks fantastic. Stain is just meant to be crouched. You try to get him in a neutral position and it's just crotch forward. But height-wise, Iida stands at 7 inches tall to the top of where his head would be in the helmet, about 7 1/4 to the top of the spikies. And then Hero Killer Stain is about 6 1/2 to the top of his actual head and 7 1/4 to the top of the flying up hair. Here they are with the McFarlane Toys All Mights, here, GameStop exclusive, I think, and then I replaced the head on this one with the Band Presto statue. The McFarlane Toys Kirishima and Bakugo, the McFarlane Toys Todoroki and Shigaraki, and then finally the McFarlane Toys Midoriya and Uraraka. Again, with the heads replaced with the Band Presto statues, I don't feel the need for that with these two. Well, I mean, helmet, odd-looking face. They're quite a bit larger than the Figma Bakugo and Midoriya, but not too bad with the Kyoto Amazing Yamaguchi Midoriya and All Might. I feel like we need just a big old huge All Might. So at the end of the day, I really like how these look, and it's nice to add to the My Hero Academia shelf. Hero Killer Stain is a bit too restricted for my taste. The figure just doesn't want to move around. Or, well, it moves, but then it's doing things that you don't want it to do, or it can't do things that you do want it to do. But again, they nailed the look, and just standing on the shelf or standing in a display, it does look fantastic. It's good to have this character in the display, but I think I like Iida more. I like the character, so it's nice to get him in plastic, and overall the figure's just a lot more fluid. It still has a bit of restriction here and there, but way more movement. And that's good, because Iida is supposed to, well, I guess that's it. He's supposed to be fluid and fast and mobile. We're seeing My Hero Academia toys from several different companies, but it seems McFarlane is the one that's going deepest. Hell, do we even have villains from any other company? Between Shigaraki and Stain, and then All for One has been announced. Yeah, it's opposing sides. You can't have heroes without your villains, and McFarlane seems to be doing that. I did my fair share of griping during this review, even though I really like the figures once you get them posed. But you have to remember that these are $20 action figures. You're getting a unique sculpt, you're getting nice paints, nice colors, and McFarlane's still working on articulation. They have it in place, it just seems like they change it up to implement it in each different character. Yeah, there's something weird going on in that department. But if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. Yeah, I never cared for the Uravity or the Deku head that McFarlane gave us. She has a kind of doll look, and he seems like it's a different animation style than My Hero Academia actually has. And I'm mostly okay with Todoroki's head, but I do have this Banpresto that I may be swapping onto it.